The room went quiet the moment the words left the manager's mouth. "That's creative," Daniel Whitmore said, leaning back his chair, lips curled into a thin smile. "But let's stay realistic." Across the long conference table, Aaron Miles sat with his hands folded neatly over a notebook. He didn't argue. He didn't explain further. He simply nodded once, as if the dismissal had been expected. A few co-workers shifted in their seats. Someone cleared their throat. Another stared down at their laptop, pretending not to notice. Aaron had just finished presenting an idea he'd spent weeks refining, an adjustment to the company's core strategy that could save costs and open a new market. He'd spoken calmly, clearly, with data, and it had been brushed aside in seconds. What Daniel didn't know was that the idea he mocked had already been read, carefully, by someone with far more authority than him.
Before we continue, if stories like this matter to you, stay with me. Like this video and subscribe to Black Justice so more people can hear these powerful lessons and stay with us to the end of this narration. It helps the channel grow and keeps these stories alive. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Now back to the story.
Daniel tapped his pen against the table. "Let's hear something more practical," he said, looking past Aaron as if he'd already moved on. Aaron stayed still. His expression didn't change. "Of course," he replied quietly. The meeting continued, but something had shifted. Not loudly, subtly. Each new slide felt heavier than the last. Daniel grew more confident with every minute, cracking small jokes, interrupting others, steering the conversation back to ideas that sounded familiar. Safe. Aaron listened, took notes, waited. When the meeting ended, Daniel gathered his things quickly. "Good effort, team," he said. "We'll refine the direction before the client call this afternoon." Aaron stood, sliding his notebook into his bag. "Daniel," he said gently, "will my proposal be included in the deck?" Daniel paused, then let out a small laugh. "Not cruel, not kind. No," he replied. "Let's not confuse the client." The silence that followed didn't argue. It observed. Aaron nodded once more. Understood. That afternoon, the conference room filled again, this time with a large screen lit at the front. The client's logo hovered in the center as the video call connected. Daniel straightened his jacket, confidence returning to his shoulders. "Remember," he said to the team, "first impressions matter." The client appeared on screen, Ms. Evelyn Hart, composed, sharp-eyed, her posture calm but commanding. "Good afternoon," she said. "I've reviewed the materials you sent over." Daniel smiled. "We're excited to walk you through them." As the presentation began, Aaron sat near the end of the table, hands resting flat, eyes attentive. He was invited to speak. He didn't ask. Slide after slide passed. Daniel explained projections, timelines, strategies. Ms. Hart listened without interruption. Then, halfway through, she raised her hand slightly. "Daniel," she said, "before we continue, there's a section missing." Daniel blinked. "Missing?" "Yes," she replied. "The alternative approach." The room stilled. Daniel glanced at the screen, then at his laptop. "I'm not sure I follow." Ms. Hart tilted her head. The proposal outlining a phased rollout with reduced overhead. It was thoughtful, grounded, forward-looking. A pause. "I was hoping we'd discuss it in detail." Daniel's smile faltered. "Just a fraction." "I don't believe that made it into the final deck," he said carefully. Ms. Hart looked down briefly, then back up. "Interesting, because it was included in the pre-read." She turned slightly, as if checking a note. "Submitted by Aaron Miles." Every head in the room turned. Aaron didn't move. He simply met her gaze through the screen. "Yes," he said softly. "That was mine." Ms. Hart smiled, not wide, but genuine. "Mr. Miles, would you mind walking me through your thinking?" The silence expanded. Daniel's pen stopped tapping. Aaron stood slowly, buttoning his jacket. He didn't rush. He didn't look at Daniel. "Of course," he said. As he spoke, the room changed shape. His voice was steady, his points clear. He explained not just what the idea was, but why it mattered. Ms. Hart nodded along. "Ask questions. leaned closer to her camera. Daniel sat frozen. When Erin finished, Ms. Hart exhaled softly. "This," she said, "is exactly what we were looking for." She turned her attention back to Daniel. "Why wasn't this prioritized?" Daniel swallowed. "I didn't think it aligned with our—" "With whose vision?" she asked calmly. The question landed without force. And yet it carried weight. Erin didn't speak. He didn't need to. Ms. Hart continued. "Mr. Miles' proposal will be the direction we move forward with." She paused. "And I'd like him to be the point of contact." Daniel nodded stiffly. "Of course." Erin remained composed. He didn't raise his voice. He raised the truth. The call ended shortly after. The room stayed quiet. Daniel stood, adjusting his jacket again, but the confidence from earlier was gone. "Erin," he said, "let's talk." Erin looked at him, respectful but firm. "I'm available." Later that week, an internal email circulated. Leadership updates, structural changes, a note about collaboration and accountability. Daniel's role was under review. Erin was invited to lead the next client strategy session. Justice didn't arrive with applause. IT arrived with clarity. Respect isn't earned by who speaks loudest. It's revealed by who listens. Power tests character, and truth always waits its turn.
If this story touched your heart and reminded you that respect should never depend on appearances, race, or color, take a moment to subscribe. Your support helps us share more Black justice stories that inspire change, spark awareness, and remind the world what dignity truly looks like. Share and leave a comment. Your voice helps bring these stories to life and keeps the message alive. Your voice matters here,